map is Akilon Wastes, spawning in the bottom right-hand position as the red Protoss from STX Seoul. His name is Comet, and if he wins today, or I guess this match, he will win the entire series for his team.
His opponent, Oz from EGTL. He needs to win this match to drag it into set number 6. SPL Youtube.
Yeah, indeed. And so last time Oz played on this map in PvP, he did manage to take the win, but this is a new opponent, different scenario. The pressure is really on him to perform here, and I think he actually won against Free, if I recall, on this map.
I would say so.
I'm
not
pretty
100% sure.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, if you ever say you're sure, then it must be right.
Thanks, man. That's a lot of confidence you're putting into my confidence.
That's quite true.
Yeah, man, that's actually true. If you think about it, that's logical facts for you right there.
100% logic facts. Right, anyways, I really want to see what these players go for, especially on Akilon Waste. We've seen some regular PvPs on this map. We saw some players trying to go for the proxy Stargate right outside of the main base. Proxy gateway is still viable in this map inside the main base because the main base is so large that they have to cover everywhere.
Yeah. We've even seen a few proxy Stargates on this map that has been spotted as before. Sorry, brain fart there. Excuse me. It happens. Alright, so nothing really important to note yet from either player here. We only see one gas going down, I guess. There we go. Second gas for Oz here. Will we see one or two gases, or geysers, excuse me, Comet? That's the real question. Yes, 2 gases. Oh, no, I guess just that's one for him, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's still no difference for now, because it's only about, getting 2 probes inside each geyser or getting 3 probes inside one geyser. And it really depends on, is Comet going to make the second assimilator after putting down the cybernetics for around 18/19 supply?
Yeah, if they don't, I mean, it kind of means 4-gate, but that build will generally not work anymore. So probably won't be seeing that. And there we go, second gas does go down, so nothing really important to notice there. Comet also getting that second gateway, becoming increasingly popular if you don't go for that fast second gas. Almost seems standard at this point, but we do have a Zealot on the way from Oz here, so he may try to do a little bit of early pressure against his opponent.
Works 2 ways. One, he didn't scout everywhere around the map, so now you could actually use the Zealot to defend against possible early 4 gateway from his opponent, Comet. I mean, he scouted around his main base, saw that there was no proxy gateway, and if I remember, Artosis said that if the gateways are outside of your main base, then you could defend against them as long as you have a Zealot out.
Yep, definitely can. Mothership Core on the way for Comet here. Also, his second gateway just about to complete here, so he's actually chronoing out that warp gate a lot. It looks like he wants to get quite aggressive this game, putting down that 3rd gateway, getting that Mothership Core, almost out another chrono on this cybernetics core here, and the problem is Oz does not know what's going on.
Yeah, this is going to be a 3-gate pressure. I'll be surprised if you see a 4th gateway because this is not going to work out for Oz.
No, he has a sentry out right now, and Comet, he's coming in with the pressure. His warp gate is getting pretty close to done right now, and we're going to have a little bit of Stalker fighting here, but that's not going to really be a huge deal here. That Stalker from Comet will get out of there, suffering a little bit of full damage, but not too much. And he's just going to wait for more Stalkers to come and join the fight. He's going to wait for that Mothership Core and then go in for the attack. If Oz can delay for the Nexus to finish, he can use the Mothership Cannon, but until then, he's going to be in a very rough spot.
Even with the Mothership Cannon, players have started to realize, all I have to do is sit outside of the white dot and just make more units, and I'll be completely ahead. So we've seen a lot more players handling the Mothership Cannon really well, especially in PvP situations.
All right, and it looks like this Nexus currently under fire here. Oz opting to go for a Stargate and 2 more gateways behind this, so I think he may cancel this at the last moment and just go for a different tech route here. And yeah, that Nexus has got it. There's no reason why Oz. Wait, is he going to try to actually defend it here? Nexus Cannon does go down. Very, very risky play from Oz here, but there is a sentry now in this army composition.
Okay.
If Oz moves down, he will get his units cut in half and eventually die.
So he's depending on the Void Rays. He got the Stargate out. The second gateway is also finishing up for himself. He needs to get a pylon at the ramp because he needs to start warping out few units down the cliff instead of just sitting on top of the ramp.
This is still a very, very scary position for Oz to be in right now. If he lets his units get cut off, that force field will completely annihilate him. And now the force field not going to go off. Will he let it go down? It looks like Comet decided he has enough units. He's going to go and take out that Nexus. He doesn't care about the Nexus cannon at all.
So there goes the Nexus, and Oz, even though he was in a really bad position, he bought enough time to get the 3 gateways out. He has a Void Ray for himself, so even if he lost the Nexus, he is still staying in this game.
Yep, so that Void Ray going to be killing that pylon quite easily there. It looks like the Stalker's not even going to try to defend against that. Okay, there we go. 2 Stalkers moving out there. But right now, Comet, he's got a great contain on Oz right now. He can, you know, essentially do whatever he wants at this point. Going to that Twilight Tech, getting a Nexus of his own, and also has robotics already complete at this point.
You know, if Comet, Oz actually went for the Oracle right after the Void Ray and did not show the Void Ray, Comet doesn't know what Oz has right now, so he was actually going to kill a lot more probes than he expected, because Comet, right now, he was warping in constant units at the natural of Oz.
Yep. All right, so Oz and Comet kind of at a standoff here near that ramp. Neither player really going to be able to make too much leeway at this point, but the longer the game goes on, the more of an economic advantage Comet will get here, and the more ahead he'll get.
And the biggest problem is Oz went for the Stargate tech, not the Robotech, which means that if he decides to push down the ramp, he needs crucial number of Void Rays, which is not going to happen from one base. So the only answer to push down is to get the Archon or the Colossus, but given the tech that he went for, it's kind of hard to get those right now, so he just needs to wait until Comet gets out of position.
Yep, essentially that's what he's got to do. He needs to distract his opponent,
or
force
get a blink.
His way, get something that can break force fields or force his way down. Uh-oh, he doesn't realize that the Colossus, the hallucinated Colossus, will not break force field.
But it does scare away his opponent.
Yes,
that's the biggest part of
the observer knows it is fake, though, but it looks like the charade worked, and Comet is moving back.
He's on the pattern where it's like, oh my god, it's a real Colossus! Go back home before you get taken out, man! Well, I don't know why.
I guess it worked, but Oz, he's just going to go ahead, take an expansion of his own. Comet, though, his expansion's already up right now. He's in a good position.
Now, remember, Oz does have 3 Phoenixes and he can harass around the map easily, and all he has to do is pull back with the Phoenixes after picking up probes one by one, trying to match the probe count as much as possible.
The probe count actually quite even between both players, surprisingly. Comet not making as much as he could at this point, but there we go, starting to climb ahead slightly right there. Now, the weird thing about this position is we do have Blink for Comet, which will help him out so much against this Phoenix, but if he wasn't going for that Blink, then the Mass Air could end up working quite well for Oz.
Yeah, well, that's the reason why Comet decides to go for Blink in the first place. You know, some players, they decide to go for Mass Air instead of going for the Robo, and that's something that Hero could have done actually in the previous game, but it's risky because Mass Stalkers actually counter the build before the Void Ray count gets too high.
Yeah, and now look at this. We have a lot of Immortals. We have a good amount of Zealots, Sentries, and that Blink is about to be complete. That is a lot of Blink Stalkers. What a scary number there. 79 to 93 supplies. Clearly in Comet's favor here. And these Phoenixes, they're going to be able to do a good amount of damage here, but moving out before killing off too many units. Only 6 probes actually total killed, and it looks like I think Comet wants to go for an attack quite soon here.
He knows that he's far ahead when it comes to the economy, which basically means that he's far ahead compared to his opponent, but gets his Mothership Core sniped.
Putting down a random time warp,
you know,
even though it doesn't work against air units, I think pro gamers simply don't care. If their units are about to die, they will use the abilities on them no matter what.
Well, that's the only ability that he has that he could use. Now remember, Comet does not have any unit that could break down the force field.
But he does have a lot of Blink Stalkers here. Force fields go down, blinking back. He's just going to essentially buy time, let those force fields run out, and then continue this assault here. And this is going to be so hard for Oz to hold here. And here we go. Looks like we have a big engagement. Nice force fields, though. They're going to be able to cut off one of the Immortals and a few Zealots here. But the problem is supplies still very far in Comet's favor. But that has just changed around now. Oz just managed to take a supply lead. Good force fields allow him to fight another day.
So now, behind this, Comet is going to go for the Robo. And like you said, there are Blink Stalkers, but it's kind of hard to engage still without getting a Colossus or Archon, but nice snipe by Comet.
Yep, just trying to abuse those Stalkers to the maximum here. he can at least snipe off maybe a few more Zealots, do some good damage to Oz's army, kind of soften it up here. But the Nexus Cannon does go down, and Guardian Shield going up. It looks like Comet really wants to commit to this. Good force fields from Oz, but the Blink Stalkers are nullifying them. All right, Stalkers continuing to try to do a little bit more harassment here, and I mean, Oz, he has 6 sentries right now, so it's going to be very hard for Comet to really do any true damage here anymore. I think he's realized this. He may try to do a little bit more harassment, try to get his opponent off guard, but, I mean, it's still going to be hard to deal with. And look at this, we have a few Stalkers near the rocks there, and they tried to blink, and yes, they are blinking into the main base, while Oz kills off a lot of probes at the natural of Comet at the same time. This is just very back and forth, but Oz has managed to take a slight lead in this game when Comet was ahead beforehand. But look at that, 21 probes killed from Oz. Those Phoenixes really starting to be being worth their weight.
You know, I'm surprised that Oz actually took this long to go for the Phoenix harassment. Yes, he had the Phoenixes back at home for defense. However, he had enough force fields. He saw that his opponent did not have any Colossus, so all he needs to do is use infinite force fields at the ramp, and he could have gone a lot. He could have actually dealt a lot more damage to Comet's economy with the Phoenixes.
Yeah, Oz actually taking a probe advantage now with 24 workers killed. Wow, that's actually a ridiculous amount. Oz is getting pretty far ahead now. Well, we do have a Colossi out for Comet here, but Oz, he also has a Colossus of his own. He has a few Immortals in his army composition. Both overall armies looking quite robust.
So Comet's #1 priority is securing his 3rd base while also taking out those Phoenixes, those annoying Phoenixes that's still harassing inside the main base of Comet.
Yep, also double Robo down for Comet, but I mean, is it going to really matter here? We still have Oz with a superior army right now, and no, nice forward blink. They're going to be able to do some damage to those Phoenix, some of them getting quite low on health, and they're not going to be able to do anything really at this point, but you know, if over time with the double Robo, Comet will eventually pull ahead in the army supplies, at least until someone decides to heavily commit to the Void Ray tech.
And it's actually going to work out fantastic for Comet because both players are getting a 3rd base. They're looking longer into the game, so the double Robo is paying off for our Protoss player from STX.
Indeed it is, but the Phoenix still being very annoying for Comet to deal with here. I think maybe that's flustered him a little bit, and kind of why the match has gone into Oz's favor a little bit more here. Yeah, Oz also had a really nice engagement at his natural with the force field sentries, but I think behind that, those Phoenixes sniping off so many workers certainly helped out.
So right now, the probe count is similar. The 3rd bases are up for both of our players. I don't know why Comet wasn't attacking, knowing that it was going to get lifted anyways.
I think he realized that with that final Stalker. And now, I guess that's one lucky Stalker there, man. I guess there's, well, one of them has energy.
Oh,
two of them. I guess Oz was being pretty merciful today.
Just for now.
Just for now. Comet now deciding to move across the map. He does not have the larger army here, which is kind of weird, but he still wants to get aggressive on the map. I think he doesn't realize how far behind he is at this point, because he's ahead by about, he's behind by about 50 supply versus Oz's main army here.
Now remember, both players have the similar Colossus count, but because Oz was spending so much money into the and also killing probes one by one once again.
Up to 34 now. That's just getting disgusting, man. That is just like, there's a point in the game where Comet needs to realize, I just need to put down a few cannons in my mineral lines and just be done with the Phoenix harassment.
In fact, it's Oz who's putting the cannons for himself against the DTs.
So Oz is really starting to take command of this game right now. He still has a supply advantage. He does have the Archons in his army as well, getting that double Robo. And here we go. Looks like we have an engagement. Nice time warp coming from Comet, but his units, they're all completely clumped up, and the supplies they're getting, they're very close right now. And Comet falling behind now. The Phoenix is doing a lot of damage to these Colossi, and now it looks like Oz, he's won the engagement, and I think he has just managed to win the game for Evil Genius's Team Liquid, and they will come to fight another day. That's going to be a GG!
Thanks to the Phoenix, he takes an advantage in the game, gets better economy than his opponent, gets better army out than his opponent, even going matching the Colossus count, and finally takes a victory for EGTO with the score being 3-2.
it looks like today is the day of comebacks today. We've seen some players down for the count, but just coming back through either their opponent making mistakes or great play from their opponents here. Or sorry, from them. So now, like you said, the score 3-2.